Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, Barakatham. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Raya with another video, and this is going to be another video chronicling the buildup to that War of Armageddon when nuclear missiles are going to be shot to the four corners of the earth. And that's all going to culminate in Babylon the Great, which is the biblical name of America, getting hit with not only 200 million nuclear missiles, but the laser beams from the Chariot of the Most High, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs, turning this landmass into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea. But we know that won't happen until the mark of the beast, which is that microchip implant, is mandatorily implemented. And 2019 has been deemed the year of the Charagma, or the year Esau really pushes for that chip. And if you brothers keep your eyes on the news, information's coming out daily on that microchip implant. So we're definitely in these days, Akim. So now more than ever, we need to be locked into this spirit and into this truth and push this word as hard as we can so we can make our calling and election sure and not be caught up in this madness when it takes place. But I'll be reading from an article on ZeroHedge.com titled, Russia touts unlimited range of new nuclear cruise missile as INF unravels, all through the will of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai to bring forth this War of Armageddon. Following the dramatic U.S. withdrawal from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF, within the last month, and amidst continuing tit-for-tat accusations between Moscow and Washington since then, which even appears to have imperiled the future of the New START Treaty, Russia is aggressively touting its new nuclear cruise missile, the 9M730 Bereznetik, or Storm Petrel, which Russian media reports says has entered the final stage of testing and development. The Kremlin is claiming the nuclear-powered, nuclear-tipped cruise missile has unlimited range and advanced superior maneuvering capabilities against anti-air defenses. Russian media previously last week reported, based on official state sources, that the missile's nuclear power unit was successfully tested in January 2018. And this is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai putting the spirit on these Russian scientists to create these advanced weapon systems, because when these missiles are shot onto the United States of America, they're going to be so advanced that they're going to be able to get past America's anti-missile defense systems. And not just that, but the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is going to be on those missiles to reach their targets without a hitch. The announcement appears to be a follow-up to a series of promises that President Putin made back in March of last year at the annual Russian State of the Union address, according to the TASS. In a message to the Federal Assembly, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that Russia developed a small-sized nuclear power mechanism that can be used in a cruise missile, which will allow it to receive a virtually unlimited range. Slovakia. At that time, Putin also issued what sounded like an implicit threat to the West, explaining before Russian lawmakers that he's repeatedly warned Washington not to go ahead with anti-missile systems that Moscow fears could erode its nuclear deterrent. However, nobody listened to us. Listen now, he said, to a loud ovation from the crowd of legislators, officials, and dignitaries after describing a range of new hypersonic weapons the military was pursuing. And this leads perfectly into Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to start at verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, which is the biblical name of Russia, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And this is referring to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai putting that old defiant Soviet Union spirit back onto Russia. That's why you've got Putin making such threats to the United States, which they wouldn't have done since the collapse of the Soviet Union. But again, the Most High is putting that spirit back onto him to be defiant. You're not going to see a peaceful resolution to things like the Cuban Missile Crisis. This next crisis that's going to happen is not going to be resolved. It's going to culminate in that War of Armageddon when those nuclear missiles are going to be shot. And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And this is speaking of Russia's military technology, which these new nuclear weapon systems are going to be a part of. And it's also referring to Russia being brought down into that Middle East region for that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. And you can see that brewing up. You've got the United States in the Middle East. You've got Russia down there. You've got Saudi Arabia stirring the pot. You've got China down there as well. And you've ultimately got the state of Israel pushing for war with Iran. The Russian Ministry of Defense, or MOD, followed Putin's statements by releasing a video purporting to confirm the hypersonic weapons claims, including what appeared to be a test of the Berezvnik nuclear-powered cruise missile, though still impossible for analysts to confirm the extent of the truthfulness of the nuclear-fueled flight. To get a sense of the extent to which Moscow is putting Washington on notice amidst the latest INF controversy, RT touts the missiles are even capable to circle around the globe for days if required. The Russian media report further summarized the following claimed capabilities based on military sources. The military says that its ability to traverse virtually any distance will be coupled with an equally astounding unlimited ability to maneuver. It will make the missile extremely hard to intercept while penetrating an enemy's defenses. And it says as much in the scriptures. This is Joel chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 1 through 8. And I'm always bringing out this precept because it's so relevant to these to this information that's always coming out on the building tensions between all these nuclear powers. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand, and it is nigh at hand. We're just diligently waiting for the mandatory implementation of the mark of the beast, which is that microchip implant. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, speaking of these nuclear weapons, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And where it says there hath not been ever the like, that's referring to how this nuclear weapons technology didn't come around until very recently, starting with those atomic bombs back during World War II. And where it says neither shall be any more after it. After this nuclear destruction, the elect of the children of Israel, which you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, are going to destroy all these weapons of the heathens, these nuclear missiles, these tanks, these fighter jets, what have you. A fire devoureth before them, those nuclear warheads, and a flame burneth, and behind them a flame burneth, that destruction that they leave behind. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them. The land looks normal. You've got buildings and infrastructure and people living there. And behind them, a desolate wilderness. That nuclear destruction it leaves behind, turning the land into a wasteland. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots, on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. And you got to remember, when the prophet Joel saw this vision, he didn't know what a nuclear missile was, so he described it in the best terms he knew how, referring it to military equipment that existed back during his day, such as horses and horsemen on chariots. Before their face the people shall be much pained, all the faces shall gather blackness. When you look up that word blackness, it means pretty much soot, so that those people getting burned up in that nuclear destruction and turned into ash. They shall run like mighty men, They shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Slakia. And that sword is referring to those anti-missile defense systems, which, as I said earlier, are going to fail in that day because, as we just read, the military says that its ability to traverse virtually any distance will be coupled with an equally astounding, unlimited ability to maneuver. It will make the missile extremely hard to intercept while penetrating an enemy's defenses. These new systems are going to be very advanced to be able to fall upon that sword and not be wounded, as well as not break their ranks. But also the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is going to be on those missiles to reach their targets without encountering any problems. And also where it said to get a sense of the extent to which Moscow is putting Washington on notice amidst the latest INF treaty controversy, RT touts the missiles as even able to circle around the globe for days if required. It also speaks of this in the scriptures. The Most High is putting the spirit on these people to speak of these systems in biblical terms. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 1. Woe unto thee, Babylon, which, as we know, is referring to the United States of America and Asia. Think about China, because China's going to take part in this war of Armageddon and also be hit by some nuclear missiles, but not be completely destroyed. Woe be unto thee, Egypt, which also is another name for the United States of America in the scriptures, and Syria. Gird up yourselves with claws of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is hand. The day of Yahweh is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and gloominess. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Those nuclear missiles. I'm going to jump to verse 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. What did it just say here? RT touts the missiles as even able to circle around the globe for days if required. And with this verse referring to these missiles as arrows being shot by a bow, again, you have to think when the prophets saw these visions in the past, they didn't know what a nuclear missile was, so they described it in the best ways that they could. Here's a quick video. What does that look like? An arrow, a flying arrow. That's pretty much it with this article. But as you Akim can see, we're getting closer and closer to this great day. You had Donald Trump announce that national emergency. So with that, pretty much anything can happen. We're on a hair trigger for all hell breaking loose. But I'm going to close it out with Jeremiah 50 verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and that north country is referring to Gog, or Russia, and that assembly of great nations is referring to not only Russia's allies, such as China, North Korea, and Iran, but also the allies of the United States of America, which are going to turn against America and shoot their missiles onto this place as well, such as Britain, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, what have you. And you can see these nations are starting to turn against the United States of America, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Again, their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Because once that microchip implant is mandatorily implemented and that war Armageddon takes place and those nuclear missiles are shot, they're going to hit their targets without a hitch to fulfill prophecy. So brothers, just keep strong and keep pushing this word, because we're almost out of here. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Ball, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.